is happening? Late holiday, people. Still, you guys had no holiday gifts over Christmas. I got you. It's a Smackdown review. So that means it's the worst one you're ever gonna get. So, big positives for Friday Night SmackDown up most recently, over recent reports. SmackDown picked up a 4.9. What? There was not much registering over the card for such a high rating. I mean, yes, we all knew that Big E was going to win the IC Championship, and it was cool. The steel cage match against Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship. Not much to entice over the viewership for a 4.9 million viewers to come watch Friday Night SmackDown, and yes, SmackDown over recent memory. Oh God. And this is after a big Vikings versus Saints game, the NBA game, the Christmas games that always sneak out against SmackDown viewership. But by God, we haven't showed this much of a decent audience since February. And over what we've been getting since being on FS1 and such a great rating, I think I got that fabricated. I think I switched up the ratings though. Other than that, it seems like we picked up a pretty good audience over the 18 to 49 ratio. And if, because this is a late review, I obviously know about the passing of the late Brody Lee / Luke Harper. It seems like some personal disease issues caught up with him, and he passed away. So, if y'all want, you can pause the video, take a moment of silence, because if you're just getting the news, because at least it's tough enough that you get even if y'all can have any critiques about probably Brody Lee, the Dark Order, or even I did. I have a rant video on it, and even my critiques over AEW. You don't want to hear a pro wrestler release a man dying, even in the freaking holidays, even over winter break where you're supposed to be with your family. So, just a short little update there. If you folks didn't even hear about the passing of Luke Harper / Brody Lee. It's John Hubbard, if you guys don't know his real name. And he was a former IC champion and a former TNT champion, just recently over feuding with the Nightmare Family. He's been one of my favorite of the Wyatt family. Obviously, one of the best talking skills over for a big man, and probably if he was treated a bit better in WWE, a lot. I would there wouldn't be any complaints. But other than that, a man shouldn't die that young. Like 41's too young to die. So we opened the contest with Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens yet again for the Universal Championship in a steel cage match. After Roman Reigns had assistance yet again by Jey Uso to help him reclaim the title in a TLC match. So the odds were still against him. I thought this was a pretty decent match, in my opinion. This was a really good match against Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns. Good counters from a pop-up powerbomb into a Superman, but he was trying to go for the guillotine choke in the middle of the ropes. Then Kevin Owens just stopped him out with using the top ropes because he was just trying to choke him in between. He held up his head and tried to suffocate him from the top rope. So that was a creative spot. There was like near fall after near fall, a superplex from the top, a sit down powerbomb off Kevin Owens for an obvious near fall. The match, I'm only going for this off detail because there wasn't that many matches up in the card. There was like a triple threat elimination tag. The Street Profits weren't even in the show. They were just hyping up the card because they can't get themselves over. And the main event was a lumberjack match. They just wanted the roster to do absolutely nothing except focus on the lumberjack match. So that's practically how I could sum it up. After a collection of finishers, they were etching to try to escape for the door. Jey Uso was coming out to stop Kevin Owens from trying to crawl outside, grabbing a handcuff with Kevin Owens just screaming, "You're a bitch! You're a bitch!" Yo, that was freaking crazy. Kevin Owens, there's actual emotion. Kevin Owens was getting screwed over yet again for the Universal Championship. What a cool match. It was a decent finish. Gained a lot over heat, but this should have been the main event. I don't know why in the hell they're trying to. And here's the thing. They take it like Biggie in his younger days when he was a WWE star. I understand it's been a minute since when he held his singles championship, and I understand the motif for that. There was like there was no freaking confetti team group members, even hell, not even like Dolph Ziggler or AJ Lee applauding him winning the IC title. Freaking everybody's coming up like it's been a reign of terror for Sami Zayn. Obviously, because he cheats to win. I guess that's the thing. That's just what I think is garbage. But I'll get more in detail on that later. Not only have we had one title defense, we had the WWE Women's Tag Team titles on the line in a triple threat eliminating tag team match against Carmella and I'm kidding. Let me just try to rotate it out. So it was Asuka and Charlotte, Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks, and damn, I keep forgetting, man. I mean, I shouldn't be forgetting such notable information like this, dude. It was Carmella and Bayley because Bayley is always the best heel in the show. The best thing was the back and forth with Bianca Belair and Charlotte just kept slapping their asses. That's the only thing that made me pay attention. Then there was outside spots. Bayley come around breaking the tag. The match was just really dragged focus over trying to get semblance of heat, but then like they have a lack of making a hot tag. Whenever you just have these women that are primarily all singles wrestlers, they just have a lack of chemistry or at least a lack of excitement, especially all over the hot tag. When women can just tag themselves in, it gets off-putting. It's just spot after spot. That's why people have so many complaints with these fatal four-way tag team matches. Like, if you're going to do multi-man tag team matches against 3 different tag teams or 4 different tag teams, make a tornado match so we know who's going to be doing who. Because if you just make the other guy tagging the other tag team partner, that's just off-putting, and the babyface or the heel shouldn't allow that. It's just a ridiculous thing. There was a fun spot involving the figure 8 leg lock on I think Asuka, and Bianca was trying to drag her and try to help her out, trying to at least get her to the rope or at least for the tag with using her ponytail as like a rope. That was I think the funnest spot. Then a sit-out powerbomb from Asuka for a near fall. There was some cool exchanges. The match ends with still Charlotte and Asuka picking up the win. It was fine, but this should be a transitional thing. Even though you're trying to bring back Asuka to at least, like, after helping her win the tag belts. Like, and Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott were watching, and they're like, "Oh my God, you're just a punk. You're just a jerk. Oh my God." And why not bring them into the match when they're just getting more wins? You just have all these 6 chicks here because they're feuding with one another, and that's it. That doesn't interclide most of the women's division that's already as slim as it is. It's just ridiculous. It's dumb. We also had a backstage segment infusing. We had Jey Uso having his matchup with Daniel Bryan because last time he took him out of action for a bit, then attacked him from behind like Jey Uso did Otis a couple weeks prior. So they had a one-on-one matchup. The match was as good because at least it was selling over the ankle, so there was a risk of Jey Uso not getting it right. Counters, there was enziguris. He was trying to fall up the top. Jey Uso, I think there was a senton, and then he fell up his leg, and then the focus was his knee and trying to get the super kick. There was a decent superplex for a near fall. As soon as Jay was feeling out his leg after not getting the super kick, he got running knee and the match ended. Decent match. There was cool Samoan splashes, counters, and at least there was a focus on something. There wasn't really a risk if Jey Uso lost, except that he'll get disowned probably again by Roman Reigns. Other than that, I thought the match was pretty fine. Jey Uso's not a bad worker. He's average over selling, and I've seen his acting chops over the last 4 months, and he's been the most impressive guy I've watched. And that's practically it. I have not much. It came over later after Daniel Bryan complained. Sami Zayn complained again, like a little bit like this. And I think it was Daniel Bryan that booked over this character for Sami Zayn just being a prickle bitch, coming around just complaining that And then now I hear last minute I have to defend my Intercontinental Championship against Big E in a lumberjack match. I'm like, come on, just shut up. I understand that's a heel's point, but he's just self-complained of like, why don't do this in a scheduled interview? And it just came up with Daniel Bryan saying, is he upset because he didn't get a PS5? Is that what the kids are complaining about these days? So that's practically it. We also had the Street Profits coming out to give him a present. It was just, I was the Intercontinental Champion, with Montez Ford trying his best to act animated, but it comes around just looking mad choppy and corny, with him extending and looking like a Pez dispenser. He just has a oozement of trying to act animaic for the semblance of trying to think he has charisma, and it just fucking annoys me. Ugh. Unbelievable. And over the rest of the show, we had like no semblance of like at least focusing on the rest of the storylines. Like we had 3 championships on the line. That's it. SmackDown Tag Division is as slim as it is, so I guess another Ziggler Rude match, even though they could have just tossed them over the belts and they could have just been hot potatoing them, makes no sense. Like just unify the belts again. There's nothing wrong with that. Uh, we had no other focus, like no training montage with Otis and Gable again, even though the whole thing is the comedic thing is at least do that. So at least focus on that and see if we can get some decent material. Not just cut it off because you think Big E winning back the IC title he hasn't held since 2014 is so monumental. And then we have the the thing that was gaining ratings at least for SmackDown, other than the Roman Reigns stuff, the Mysterio family thing with Murphy and King Corbin, they have no other focus involved in that, even though they have Corbin associating with Murphy's old tag team partner. So I guess they're just making sure you ignore it by the bit, even though you saw these people literally in a freaking lumberjack match. No other focus was intertwined. And I know this is just me complaining, but like, at least have some continuity, especially in your weekly program of a story, or people are gonna forget about the storyline, especially if it's not already catching heads. I'm happy that SmackDown had a pretty good rating, and it's been since at least the early 2010s since we saw 3 million people watching. So that's at least you're doing something right. Other than that, our main event, a lumberjack match for the WWE Intercontinental Championship. We had counters into big boots and haluva kicks that Big E was just getting stunned. Running spear over to the corner. Sami Zayn and Big E, obviously the heels should have taken out Big E, but somehow they get in a fight with the babyfaces even though they're doing their freaking job. They're not even jumping Big E. As soon as Sammy tries to escape when they were focusing on Big E, or he wanted to fight some garbage, Apollo Jobber number 166 coming around, trying to bring Sammy back into the match. It ends with the big ending after he's launched back into the ring by every jobber on the SmackDown roster, where he got big ending, and that's the show. With the confetti, talking to literally Corey Graves, because people think he was the ultimate underdog to beat a guy that's cowardice. Like, what? That's just my point of view over the standpoint. Probably you guys are huge Big E fans. I don't really give a damn. I just thought it was completely forced over to just have a decent moment because it was a holiday episode. Other than that, decent SmackDown. Was it as good as the last 2 weeks? Technically, yes. The show is getting primarily carried off Roman Reigns, and we don't know who is going to be facing Roman Reigns again, because probably for the Royal Rumble, they're planning something a bit bigger, especially when they're trying to get at least some semblance of fan attendance there for the Rumble. I don't know if they're even going to still be in the Thunderdome. And, Daniel Bryan already announced himself in the Rumble match, so I don't know why he's not trying to target the literal top heel that he's faced before. I don't want to see another Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns match, especially after Kevin Owens has been shown to be always against the numbers. He doesn't seem to always have the winning opportunity against Roman Reigns. And I understand they want to drag over this program to at least get Kevin Owens something to do, but it just gets boring. And Kevin Owens isn't that much of a top compelling face. I mean, he can talk, but that's not going to be enough. They've been having good matches, but I don't want to see this for over a 3-month feud, especially if Kevin Owens is not going to get a side of at least looking intelligent or dangerous. So that's just my opinion on the matter. Other than that, I hope you guys like the show. I'm going to be at least fair enough and give it a 6 out of 10. Decent show. I just thought there was less amount of matches, less interchangeable storylines to go over in the rest of the SmackDown roster. Uh, I hate the Street Profits. The 3 matches been fine, except probably the Lumberjack match was a bit weak in my opinion, and that's technically it. I mean, Roman Reigns is still Universal Champion. That's all I care about. So that's it coming from me. Hopefully you guys enjoyed yourself and had a great Christmas during that time. It's a late review. Rest in peace to Brody Lee / John Huber. Other than that, that's coming for the DST show. Thanks for watching.